Okay, folks. Let's see. We connected. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we're kind of at a crossroads here. A point of no return. I'm going to do an unveiling of sorts that will determine the course of action for the rest of this model. So we have this Jagdpanzer Tiger, I believe is the official name of it. And there's a couple of issues with it. First of all, in my stupidity, I assumed that I could make either a Ferdinand or a elephant out of it. I was kind of on the fence on which one to do. And after doing a little bit of research with you guys in the morning, yesterday morning, I realized I'd rather have a Ferdinand. In doing so, I made the assumption that that I could make either one of these as a kit. But this is actually a kit for the elephant, even though it doesn't have Zimmerit on it, and there should not be an elephant without Zimmerit. Once it's an elephant, it automatically has Zimmerit on it. Something I'm not really interested in doing. Especially after I found out I wanted to do a Ferdinand. So I'm making the conversions, everything's good, and then I decided to take a look at something, and then I noticed, we obviously know about the machine gun that's optional here for the front, and there's a couple of rivets removed when you do the machine gun. So I'm like, well, I could just pull some rivets off something else, glue them on here. I really could paint them on there, but it's kind of an eyesore, so I'd kind of get it. It's actually the jack that was back here that made me notice, like, why is the jack up here instead of the... So there's these slight differences. Now, this is supposedly a Dragon... well, it is. It's not supposedly. It is a Dragon pre-painted Ferdinand. And I noticed that the commander's hatch is different. And once I noticed that, and it wasn't an option, you could really only make this as an elephant. I mean, if you care, which I do. So so at that point, I'm like, well, I got to make it. I got to do one or two things. I've got to use it with this cupola and just pretend it's a Ferdinand, which I'm not prepared to do, or I've got to put Zimmerit on it, which I'm also not really prepared to do. But I'm more likely to do than run this as a Ferdinand, or make a casting of this one with Oyumaru, and if it comes out okay, slice this off and put the new hatch here, and then turn it into a Ferdinand. So that's the direction I'm going to go in. I actually made 2 different castings of it, so hopefully one of them is okay, and then we'll have to figure out how to take this hatch off, which I think I can figure out how to do, and not make a mess, and put that hatch on in its place. So that's what we're planning on doing this morning. And in retrospect, I probably should have gotten the Dragon kit of this, although I wouldn't have even gotten very far done, because we know it probably has all kinds of crazy details to it. But good morning. Morning. Top of the morning. Loving the accent changes in Empire Express. What are you talking about? Accents. Did we do funny accents? Why do we do those so freaking often? You probably don't even know. I mean, I'm always talking in some ridiculous accent. That's why I don't fall into that. You can't do that. That's racist. That's not fucking racist. That is like that is a cornerstone of my personality, is doing fucking different accents all the time. I hate all races. There's no such thing as races. It's different tribes. Races races is like elves, dwarves, ogres. Oh man. So we're gonna do an unveiling and see how this hatch turned out. Now, I hope it turned out great because it's super empowering to make shit out of nothing and convert this stuff. And I know it takes. I really wanted to paint yesterday, especially after I figured out what unit I'm going to do for the Tigers. So I did a pretty deep dive when I was doing the Ferdinands, and I'm stuck on this Paneri thing, which I've heard about it before. It's not like I've never heard of Paneri before, but and the other unit that was up there in that area, and that's in the north, and the north gets ignored. And if I do the north, I don't have to worry about doing SS units, which I'm not really keen on them. And I certainly don't want to glorify them. So, but the other unit that was up there, the Tiger unit, is the 505th. So that's what my Tigers are going to be. Now, Tigers are going to be for the 505th. 505th have traditional numbering schemes that that aren't these weird S's with the numbers or a letter with a number or the 13th company, that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do with the 500 with the two Tigers. They're going to be 505th Tigers. So no Prokhorovka for them. You could use them in a scenario for Prokhorovka, but So the Panzer division these guys fought up there with was the 18th, which, if you remember correctly, 18th actually have their own little logo, or they used to have their own little logo, at least in 1941. It's like a little shield, like a black background, because it was the one that was gonna land in Sea Lion. So it had those amphibious snorkel modified Panzer threes and fours. I don't know if it was both of them, but anyhow, that's the 18th. All right, so let's see what we got here and decide whether or not we're going to have to do Zimmerit on. And the other thing is, if I have to do Zimmerit, then I'm going to have to do some practice on. I don't mind making this for Italy. Don't get me wrong. That actually works okay. And then we'll just build it as is and make it Italian. But before I start adding the headlamps, which is what I need, I would need to do Zimmerit, and the only paste I have for Zimmerit is, which I'm not real familiar with it at all, is this Tester's Putty. And I don't know what the hell you can thin that with. Hopefully you can thin it with something that I have. But I do happen to have a flat bladed screwdriver that I did bring in. And if I'm going to do it, this is probably what I'm going to use. So I'm prepared to go either way. And hopefully I can make this a Ferdinand. So here we go. Okay, that one's usable, I think. This one looks even better. Well, I don't know. I think it's usable. Hell, I could probably make it open. Okay, I think we're going to move forward with this being a Ferdinand. I think we're going to do that. The only other thing thinking about doing is putting another couple bolts on here. Now, I don't have any bolts on anything I can remove, so I'd have to make them out of sprue. I don't know. I'm almost better off just freaking... Well, there's a couple bolts on this machine gun thing. Boy, that'd be the thing to do. I've never removed anything like that. All right, let's take it one step at a time. Here, we're trying to challenge ourselves here and become a better modeler. Some of you guys are saying, "Okay, Tony, you can do it." And some of you guys are saying, "Fuck that noise, you're a crazy man." Let's have a poll. Speaking of which, did the Panthers ever overtake the Tigers? Let's see what we got. Can't do it that. I gotta enter this like I'm somebody else. Nope. 58 Tiger, 142 Panther. I'm really surprised. I would have thought it would have been 3-1 Panther. That's fine. It's not like I dislike the Tiger 1. Well, last night was movie night, and my mom and brother came over, and my daughter, and we all watched Gladiator 2. I watched it for the second time. Like I've mentioned before, I thought it was going to be worse than it was. With that said, it's pretty awful. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's really awful in it. You know, the way over the top shit. You know, the worst parts of it really are the other than the total joke of history is those freaking demonic baboons. And I mean, I know that they supposedly fought naval battles with real water in the Colosseum, but I don't think that they have the technology now to seal something up that well for the water to stay in there. And they certainly wouldn't have had sharks. That's just ridiculous. So, I think Ridley Scott is on some medication and it's not working. I don't think he's well. What kind of water do they drink in Hollywood? Marcus, what kind of water do they drink in California? You can do it. I can do it. Shittier modelers have been able to do it. Shittier models have been able to do it. Good. I don't really want to do Zimmerit. I will do it at some point, I think, at this point. If I can. And I went to Hobby Lobby. Man, I really hate Hobby Lobby. Every time you see something, it's like, man, I don't really need that. And you remember something was there. And like, oh, let me go get the little sanding sticks. They don't have any. Like, fuck you. Like, now it is kind of cool to have this as a helping hand. And there should be a copy of it. Now, I don't think this is worth ungluing. Although if it's easy enough to do, it's not. Okay, we're just going to do this here. I have no experience doing what I'm about to do. I totally think I can handle this because we just need to remove that. I just don't have. I wish I had a little saw I could run parallel to it. So we're going to have to X-Acto knife this thing and sand it down. And I think we can do this. We have a good hatch, okay? And man, this is gonna be an interesting challenge. I can't remove it and keep and save it for later use. That I'm not. I am going to remove this just for manipulation purposes, if I can. If I have to push down on this, I don't want to fuck up the suspension. So if you'll allow it, I don't really want to cover this in more glue, and then it'll get tacky on the bottom, I think, just by being patient. Okay, we're loose on that end. And apparently the Elephants had a later two-piece hatch. This one has a one-piece hatch, so that's good. It's got the earlier one. And we'll move the jack up here, like it is on this one. Okay. It would have had all this detail, none of it could be seen. I'm naked, Marcus. You can recommend the F1 movie despite having Brad Pitt in it? Jumping the Shark, no fucking kidding. Wall putza! I bet those naval battles were more like the ones in a duck pond we have over here, and then people said it was better. I bet they were on dirt. I bet they were on dirt and made like soapbox derby type of looking galleys that ran on fucking dirt anyways. Because remember that the Coliseum has a false floor, because there's like stuff underneath it, like cages for the animals and shit like that. I mean, I've never been there, but that's what I heard. You put water in there, all that water is going to leak outside the Coliseum. I just don't fucking see how that is. It's gonna be one of those like Tomb of the First Emperor. Oh, he's got these moving rivers of like quicksilver, and it's gonna be none of that shit. It's just a bunch of crap. Focus on drinking coffee. Yeah, you're gonna have to. Your coffee's gonna be like $17 a cup. You know what place sucks now? And you'll probably say it always did suck. Starbucks. And the reason I drink Starbucks is because it's available. Their cups are actually really good. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but I reuse them for a while after I get the coffee. And their coffee is really, 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 really strong. I mean, that's why I get it. I don't get it for the taste. I'm drinking this not because I like the taste of this. This tastes good. Coffee, not so much. Like how people thought 1996 Pyramid Bust, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Lara Croft was ultra realistic because we had nothing of this ilk to compare it to. It's terrible. 1996 Pyramid Vessel was ultra realistic. I remember that. I never liked that game because it had weird controllers. Right, it had weird keys. You had to move things, and I couldn't get on with it. The only one of those games I played was the relaunch, whatever it was called. It's when she's in Japan, and and it's a shame that when they made the movie sucked. Did I watch the movie? See, did I watch the movie? Did I watch the movie? Did I watch? I don't remember if I watched the movie or not. And I'm talking about the Vikander movie. She didn't do anything for me. But now the girl who did the actual modeling for that video game, whatever it was called, which that game probably came out in 2015, something like that. 2016, 2017. You know, I forget what her last name is, but she's got a last name like you have, Ulf. Not Ulf, but a name like Ben has. She's not a Waddington, but she's like a Bennington or something like that. She's super cute. And she looks like Lara Croft. Like, dude, hire her. Well, she's not an actress. Well, how fucking hard is it to be an actor? Like, do a couple lines of fucking coke, touch some children when you're not supposed to. You're an actor. Right? Isn't that what they do? But that game, actually, that was a fun game to play. That was the one in Japan. That's where you had the Onis and all that shit. It was supposedly like, I don't remember what it is right now, but it was like some Japanese island, like some Japanese influenced island, like near Okinawa or something like that, where there was always these storms or whatever. And it was some ancient, sorry, I'm going to spoil the game that's 20 fucking years old. And there was some cult there that from way long ago, like even before Yamato, the Yamato culture, and they brought in all this shit, and then the Japanese put some base, so it's like an abandoned Japanese base where planes would always crash and shit like that, and you know, it was a cool game. It was a really cool game, really really cool game. See if I what did I say it was 2015, something like that. 2013. I think it's just called Tomb Raider. This one. Yeah, I don't know if I unlocked everything. I probably didn't. I think the only games I've ever unlocked everything on those are the those Slytherin games. Yeah, Ultimate, the pyramid chested ones like this one. Yeah, I never played that. 2013. I mean, I remember that game looking really good. You probably look at it now and be like, eh. Luddington. That's what it is. This girl here. Camilla Luddington. Yeah, she's cute. And she even looks like you could do. I mean, you could voice act somebody and like be totally different. Like I could voice act like a character that's not a badass or something. Well, my daughter and I really liked Ford versus Ferrari, and we have no plans to ever have a Ford or a Ferrari. Just so you know, I would. I saw one of the new Broncos the other day that looked sexy, but I'm not buying a $75,000 car. That's ridiculous. I don't have that kind of money. I mean, yeah, I could buy one. Then we have one vehicle. Like, no. First guy I remember with that squeezing through a gap sideways section that every game does now. Yeah, that shit's stressful. And it had some of those. It had some of those actions where it was like, you were like falling out of a hole or something like that, and you had to hit the buttons just right. Otherwise, you ended up turning into like pudding. And it reminded me of remember what was the video game looking thing? Dragon Slayer, Dragon, whatever the thing is with the goofy looking knight from the Disney looking knight. You know what I'm talking about. Well, you had to hit everything in exactly the right place, otherwise you would like die. Not like you take some damage. It's like you're fucking dead. It's like you're either here or you're not here. Dragon, whatever it's called. Yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, hit this exactly at the right time. I said, why don't you fucking play the game for me? Here you go. You play the fucking game for me. I'll just watch. I don't like that all or nothing stuff. You know, you jump and you make the jump or you fall to your death. Oh, and you can't save. So when the next time you do that, you fall to your death. It's like you're being tortured. Like, I don't have the personality for that. All right, let's stop putting off the inevitable here. We're going to need this, and I'm going to use a new blade. This is going to be ugly. This is going to be ugly. A point of no return. All right, there is a little bolt here. And I'm not sure why there's a bolt there. Is it the same as the ones on the front? There is. And it's right over one of these weld marks. So I'm going to try to remove it. And then I can use it for the front. And see if it's a sign of things to come. Well, I successfully removed it. Now, where do you put this thing so it doesn't disappear? Stick it in to stick 'em. Can't fly away now, bitch. All right, that was cool. And I looked for a picture of the top view of one of these. And I couldn't find one. You know, just doing a rudimentary search. All right, here goes. We're going to try to come straight across, and we can sand down as needed. Well, hold on a second. I'm not going to be able to recover this, right? I'm not going to be able to use this piece. And this isn't cutting great or anything. Only time you're probably going to see me wear a mask, just in case. I've got one. I don't know what. I don't know what I have it for. I think it was something. It wasn't for COVID. Asked my wife if she had one, and it's like I was grinding something with a Dremel. Let's see. It's actually pretty fine. I mean, like really fine. Now, if this had been the plastic that was like in Armor Fast or in like Plastic Soldier Company, it'd be a lot easier to get on with this big time. Yes, this is a real thing. It's got one of them liners and everything. You know, and the fact that this is plastic, yeah, I don't really want to, I don't want any of this in my lungs. This is that shit that just would never come out of your lungs if you got it. Make sure we don't scrape any of this up. So now we're going to push down on this. Yeah, I needed to take this off the rest of the vehicle. I didn't watch a video on how to do this. I'm just kind of figuring this out with my built-in retardation. I don't have any wet dry sandpaper. That stuff's really cool the very first time I used it. And then I get these, you know, you get the Verlinden stuff back in a long time ago. And well, this thing isn't good to take off your face to just take a sip of something. Well, you put a piece of that wet dry sandpaper and then wet it, and then you run that resin over it and it just melts it. Like, that's pretty cool. So I was doing research on this unit, 653rd, 654th. 653rd, they're both in the same area. 653rd has the lower numbers, has like 100, 200, 300 series numbers. And the other ones are 5, 6, and 700 numbers. And I'm pulling drawings, illustrations that other people have made of the vehicles. There's a lot of pictures of them knocked out. There's actually a lot of pictures of. There's a lot of pictures of a lot of different stuff at Kursk. And the more wondrous the weapon, there's a lot of pictures of Ferdinand's at Kursk. A lot. And the 653rd, this is a 654, but the 653rd seem to have more variety in camouflage schemes. Almost all the vehicles in the 654th are similar to this. They're Dunkelgelb with green overspray, not red-brown, but green, in a spiderweb pattern, which I actually like the way this looks, but, I don't want to do two vehicles that look exactly the same. That'd be kind of silly. So, I think I may paint this other one as a 653rd. Now, these have white numbers. The 653rd has hollow black numbers. In other words, they're just number outlines. But there's some pretty, and I put together an Excel document that has a bunch of different schemes on it. It's pretty cool. I'll probably end up making my own, inspired by one of them. So, but there's a lot of pictures of Ferdinand's at Kursk. I was surprised. Oh, these people walking by like, man, that's a huge bastard. Let's take a picture of that, All right, now, I'm glad I have this thing as a guide. Hopefully it's accurate. Accurate enough. clean it yet. There's too many girls asleep here. Just the two. Let's see what else we got here. I wonder if this is good. I wonder if water would help. No. Maybe with wet, dry sandpaper, but now we got this. We got it almost flush. Thank God this is all one piece. And I do have wet, dry sandpaper, but I'm like, how would I get into that little spot? I mean, I don't have anything to... Let's just take some patience, it'll be fine. I'm half tempted to make the fucking hatch open, though. Put a dude in it. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? But there's something to be said for these things to be basically eyes wide shut kind of thing. Look how much enjoyment I'm getting out of a $5 model. You call that enjoyment? Hey, it's going to modeling college. We're getting there. At this point, I'm looking at this, I'm like, yep, we're going to be successful. You know, at the beginning, you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out. I don't know about this, Sarge. And I'm like, now you're like, yeah, put me in. Put me in, coach. How bad is that Airfix Panzer 410? I don't think that thing's available pretty cheap. Yeah, it's 176, isn't it? I like Panzer 4s. So there's a Japanese drama about people that make model kits. Mostly Gundams, though. There was a funny scene, one guy losing a part in the carpet. Well, if I had a thing for seeing Japanese guys bent over, that'd probably be the show for me. Oh, man. There's all kinds of stuff on TV. Television's almost like my last resort. I don't know what to do. And it's like I choose watching TV as the last one. Well, it looks like I did clip this a little bit. Very little. Very, very little. Okay, well, I was lucky. It was just that. But it is. It's like, why do I want to watch TV? It's like I'm not doing anything. There's no decisions to be made. Everything's done for you. There's some cute girls in it. Gundams. Why is Gundams all of a sudden like popular? All right. I think we're done with the mask. I think we're... Oh, I'm trying to think, what was it that I was doing? I think I was grinding plastic with it. It's something with a Dremel, where it's like really kicking up a lot of that stuff. I'm like, I know what it was. I took the Dremel to grind that building, that big resin building. I'm like, I don't want that fine powder in my fucking lungs. That's like dangerous shit. That's like, cancer shit. Yeah, cancer shit's that's stuff we worry about. We worry about that cancer shit. All right, I know this has been used a bit. This should double as wet dry. Oh, you know what? I do have legit wet dry. I do have legit wet dry. Made in Canada. Sorry about that. Sorry. Sorry, hoser. So of all the limitations I've encountered so far, like, oh man, you can't see things, or you got the shakes, or I can't paint that scale, the one that's been the most demanding for me has been like, my fingers are too fucking fat to fit in a place to work on something. Like fat fingered issues are my issue. It's not vision. I can take all my contacts out and I can put the correct vision device to, have excellent vision for whatever it is I'm doing. It's not fine motor skills. It's my fingers are too freaking fat to fit in there. Fat fingered issues. You fat fingered fuck. This is working well, by the way. And if this goes well, we got some other surprises on this. I'm not getting a lot done, but this is really enjoyable doing this kind of stuff. And it's by choice. I mean, I can walk away from this thing. I probably could have painted this with his hatch, and well, somebody would have said something about it, but that's pretty damn smooth. I really like this round one. Let's get away from that. Actually, using the couple different combinations of sanding things is handy because your hand doesn't get cramped and holding one thing the same way. I've been playing this cards game a little bit each day for free. And I'm surprised the prevalence of Asian players. I don't know whether they're Korean, Japanese, or Chinese. I think I can sometimes make out. The Korean looks different. Korean is like O's and like not angled things. I could kind of tell the difference between them, but I asked. I asked on the forums, I'm like, man, why are there so many Asian players playing this? And immediately the people came in and get all defensive. Like, what do you mean? What do you got against Asians? I don't have anything. I don't have anything against Asians. It's just unusual to see so many Asian. And really, it's like I don't care where you're from, but I really don't like the fact that like their handle, you can't read what the fuck it is. Like, just you could be Asian. Just use our alphabet, please, for the love of God. You know. And I like the way that those Eastern characters look like, especially Ty. Ty looks really cool. I think it's Ty. Anyways, I got a tie dye, I think, or something. Tie. I made it funny. But I just, I don't know how to read that shit, and I'm not ever going to, But I just wish that, like, they translate their handle or whatever. It could be like, the monkey god or something like that. And I'll never find out that I'm playing against the monkey god because it's got these characters that I can't read. I don't care if they're Asian. I just like, dude, like, just use our alphabet. Use the alphabet that everybody is. See, would I volunteer to have everybody drive on the wrong British side of the road if we could all use the alphabet? Yeah, it's probably be worth it. It'd probably be worth it. Now, here's an interesting thing, and Marcus may know the answer to this. In China, they drive on the American side of the road. All right, we're going to stick it to the British on the French side of the road. In China, they drive on the French side of the road, but in Hong Kong, obviously it was a British colony. I'm sure they drove on the British side. Did they switch that over where everybody in Hong Kong has to drive on the French side now? I bet they didn't. Or they just like make it you banned. You can't have a fucking car there. Problem solved. Correct. And don't get me wrong, I love Chinese history. I don't like the fuckers now. That's all. I don't like the Mao people. And you know, I could probably say that, you know, those cultures that are really a long time ago were probably a lot more brutal than the CCP is now. But that's not the. But everybody else was more brutal too. You know, I don't like what you have to say. We're gonna bury you in the fucking wall. You know, that kind of shit. Well, they did that stuff in Europe too. I mean, it was fun. You know. Nope, same style now. So everybody drives on the French side, huh? Yeah, like I would never build like modern Chinese stuff. Like if somebody says, "Hey, you want to build some modern aircraft?" I'm building some Chinese modern. Like I'm not interested in doing China. Now, with that said, I actually do have a Chinese navy. What? I got 1/6000 Chinese ships, which are really cute. But I never got around to playing Shipwreck. I know Jeffrey's played Shipwreck. Is it worth playing, or is it just like too abstract and hokey? I have Japanese and Chinese 1/6000 scale ships painted. You guys have seen those, haven't you? Oh, if you haven't seen those, they look fucking grand. The 3D printed. I think they're from Shapeways, actually. Remember Shapeways before everybody had a 3D printer? I hope they're in here. I hope they're in safekeeping. Oh, they might actually be in the garage. They're in a special little container that only they're in. And they got little names on them. They look really good. That's what I was going to do. So if I'm going to do modern, I'm doing Philippines, China, Japan, and then work my way out from that. Fighting over those islands that the Chinese are just inventing out of nowhere. It's like, I want that island. You can't have that one. Well, fuck you. We're going to build one right next to yours, and then we're going to call that one ours. They didn't change the driving side. CCP's pretty tolerant. Pretty tolerant. But like, you do this now. We fuck you up. You do what we tell you, or you get sent to the. You go hang out with the Uyghurs, wherever we got the Uyghurs hanging out. No, they're in the garage. They look sweet. It was like, I've got, I don't know, over a dozen of them painted. And then I just like, okay, it's time to read the rules. And I'm like, oh, nah. I don't want to bad enough. We'll send you to Uyghur Central. This has gone really well. This has gone really well. Now, it's not quick, but What else am I going to be doing? Sleeping? Sounds like a monkey jungle. The only problem is my painting style really emphasizes a lot of dry brushing, which means if I don't have this looking pretty good, it's going to stand out when I do the dry brushing. See, again, I've got the patience for this because this might take a while, but we're constantly moving towards a goal. It's not like, we're not making any progress kind of thing. Well, it's baby's ass smooth, that's for sure. Not that I'm sitting around touching baby's asses. Just saying. Well, you're trying some black lining using AP Dark Tone on those APCs I mentioned yesterday, and it's working really well. I mean, those products are really good. And, I mean, they thin with water. Okay, they thin with American water really, really well. Really, really well. Not like when you get something that's kind of water based, but it kind of isn't, and then it kind of separates. I mean, it thins really well with water. And I really like doing the lining. And then they're like, well, it doesn't work because you gotta like use the enamel product because then you use the thinner and wipe it down. I'm like, it's a water based product, man. Just come in and dry brush a little bit of the core color back over it. It's perfect. I mean, don't leave very much on the brush. I mean, leave almost nothing on the brush. It cleans up really nicely. Really, really nicely. I'll note down to use non-safe drinking water. Well, I don't know how that is in Britain, but that's one thing that I liked about Europe. You could just drink water from the tap. Our drinking water would be better, but we let too many illegal immigrants come in here. I've always drank tap water. My generation, like, man, you drank water out of a hose, and then next thing you know, you were immune to shit. You just got to make sure you run it for a while so you don't have a frog in your mouth or something. I can feel it. I have a good sense of feel. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, we got to cut this down a little bit. And it doesn't have whatever the hell this is. If you want some unique rounded decals for imaginations, you should look at the Brigade Models Sons of Mangala. That sounds like something you'd call somebody. You son of Mangala. I gotta check that out now. Sons of Mangala. Brigade Models. All they do is 28 millimeter stuff, though, right? Brigade Models Sons of Mangala. That's Mangala. That's a good name. Science fiction. Let's see. Sons of Mangala. Oh. Well, they're a bit busy. Whatever the hell I'm looking at. What's this, like a cat face or something? Is this like? Oh, okay. You sent me a photo. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the red black definitely. What's this little? They use a different numbering system. It looks like that Thai lettering or whatever. That looks pretty cool. Oh, what's this? Put it. Oh, let me look at your copy. Your copy's better than the one online. Nope, I actually can't read yours. The names. Are they Indian? Prithvi, Bhumi, Brahma, Gada, Padma, Shula, Vanana, Shiva. Hmm. Sons of Mangala. Wrangel's Legion, Ariete Division. Yeah, I've got some ones. I created an Excel sheet, and I do it with Excel because I'm really familiar with Excel. Hindi Sri Lankan. Yeah, they have a few packs of various decals. They follow the same first letter principle for the nicknames. Let's see. Let me pull this up. Here's a Ferdinand sheet. I'm just gonna take a picture of it. It's just easier to show you guys like that way. I just collected like art over the internet. Now see this second one from the top? Let me zoom in on it. Well, see this one that's like 623. The entire 654th basically used stuff like that. Spiderweb. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool and all that, but I'd like for them to look different. Look at this command vehicle from the 650. Oh, this is actually 654th vehicle. The commander gets used all red brown. That looks pretty cool. So they basically did a green and then a spot between the green and the yellow. They put the red in. Screaming baboon. Where is? Okay, let me look at this article. I'll show you the ones that I decided to start off with modifying. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take real ones and modify them. But man, this is going to be an upward climb because I am not familiar with. Now, there's some ones in Africa that suck. Okay. But I think I'm going to change all of them, like the colors and stuff. So here's the ones I'm going to start with. And well, the UK roundel, that's how we're going to test to see that it works all right, because we need some roundels anyways. But these are like Togo. This is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is actually this one with the star. I think I'm using it. I may use that and just put a black star in it. The Burkina Faso one is pretty cool. I like that one. Just red with a black star. That's Guinea Bissau. And you know, if Texas was in Africa, their flag would look like this. That is really really cute. So that's what I'm going to start with. But I'm afraid of wasting the whole sheet. Like I don't know how I'm going to have to do it so that. And then I figured, well, I might as well do some nicknames using an American font for some of my tanks, right? So I have some tanks that have the regular font in them, but I don't know how the whole printing white thing. I got to read a lot. I got to read a lot of stuff. Harris Command. Okay, what's the name of the Brigade Models Harris Command? Brigade Models Harris. Is it like? Does it take place in jungle places? Harris Commando. They almost look Japanese. Oh, these guys stole freaking British names. All these are Hotspur. That's an GH class British destroyer. Hunter, Havoc, Hero, Hostile, Hardy, Hereward, Hawkins. That's a cruiser. Hydra. I don't think there was a British ship named Hydra, though it's a good name. And Hurricane. Yeah, Hurricane and Havoc are those Hesperus class modified anti submarine ones. Told you I was a ship nerd. Yeah, they almost look Japanese in a way. Maybe it's because they're round. Does it take place like in Africa or something like that? They're based on forces from Hammer's Slammers. Well, I don't know about all that. Hammer Slammers. Never heard of her. What is that? I think we do a little bit more polishing and then we'll be good to go. Now the area that I probably need to pay more attention to is the area away from the edge. Because this area in here is going to be covered by this hatch. Now, let's look at both of these hatches. This one I have to cut down less. But this hatch looks better shut down. Closed. What I meant to say, shut down. Shut down that hatch, boy! Speaking of imaginations, that game that who's the German, who's the German Turkish dude? Sam Mustafa. I think he's Turkish originally. That's his country of origin. Um, the one that's based on the Lace Wars game that I thought was a really good game. It just didn't feel like it was the right period. That one encourages a lot of imagination play, and it just doesn't seem like that would be an environment that would interest me to make create nations. I mean, you got the nation of what was the what's that Monty Python thing? Baron von Munchausen, Munchausenites or something, But that's all. That actually encourages imaginations. Imaginary play. Munchausenites. It's set on various planets. All sorts of terrain are present, but they're mostly mercenary forces that fight wherever. Well, it allows you to play like on your carpet, regardless of what color it is. What was the name of that game? Now that was a cool game. I think the game made the combat in that period a lot more exciting than it was. There was a lot of different ways to skin the cat, kind of thing. And then eventually, I think Joel just got dissatisfied with it and just moved on to something else. I think Mitch whooped his ass too many times. Something like that. Maurice. I thought Maurice was a good game. I don't think it represented the period well. Like I said, it's. But. And it's not my period. But. That guy's got really quirky rules, and you either love him or you hate him. But. What about that? I didn't realize that new set of Pacific Carrier rules were created by the guy that did Gaslands. Hopefully, there's less loopholes in Gaslands, and I may go back to Gaslands at some point. I'm just not. I'm just not in a hurry. There's too many cool things that really happened in real life to try to learn about and play along. To just be pulling things out of my ass completely. All right, so what I'm going to do a search for is Ferdinand Tank Destroyer drawings. Let's see if I can get in here. Okay. I don't want somebody else drawing one. That's not what we're here for. Yeah, like this paint scheme. This is pretty cool. And I know that some of the stuff on this side is kind of suspect whether it's correct. Well, here's a whole row of them. Okay, I still have to put these headlamps. And they look like they attach. In front of this. But then there's like a piece here. I wonder if that's a conversion they did later for the elephant. Well, at some point I'm going to have to say, fuck it, I'm not doing that. Consisted of 6 large road wheels to save rubber and extend their service life. They were made of steel with no rubber rim. I don't have to paint that. Yeah, this had the headlamps in front of this little square thing. And this has these little platforms for them. So I think I'm just going to install them on those platforms and call it a day. Hey, here's a destroyed version I can do. I can do with that one that I got this junk. But then I got to do the inside. No. Oh, this is a part that I found the other day that I need to read to you guys. Because it's super interesting. Oh, this is kind of cool. Okay. The Ferdinands were intended to spearhead the German advance. They were to be reinforced with remote controlled tank company, equipped with Borgwarg B4 SDKFZ 301 for cleaning minefields. These small vehicles were equipped with detachable explosive charges designed to detonate mines in a wide area. They could be either remotely controlled or driven by a human driver. The 656th Regiment was under the 41st Panzer Corps under command of General Harpa. Its order battle during the initial stages of the Kursk offensive were as follows. The 653rd, that's this one, not this one, 653rd, was to support the attack of the 86th and the 292nd Infantry Divisions, while the 654th was supported the 78th Infantry Division, which is also called the Sturm Division. The 216th Brigade, that's the Brumbar one, was to follow up in the second wave together with 177th and 244th Stug Brigades. Their objective was a heavily fortified Soviet position around the Malo-Arkhangelsk and Ochovadka area. Its key position around 257.7, later known as Panzer or Tank Hill. The attack on the first day by the 653rd Battalion pierced the first Soviet defenses and reached its target, destroying some 26 T 34 tanks and dozens of anti tank guns in the process. Many of its Ferdinands were temporarily out of action due to extensive Soviet minefields, which spanned extensive areas. To increase the lethality of their mines, the Soviets coupled them to artillery shells or even aircraft bombs. While they usually just blew up parts of the suspension, some were so strong that they would damage the hull, which could not be repaired on the front. The anti-mine auxiliary unit did its best to clear the minefields, but lost many of its vehicles in the process. The Soviet artillery also made mine-clearing operations difficult. Places that were clear of mines and marked as such were usually shelled by Soviet artillery. The advancing Ferdinand crews would lose sight of the clear paths and you can't see out of this damn thing, and accidentally run into minefields that were not cleared. In total, on the first day, the 653rd Battalion lost 33 vehicles to mines. That's 33 of 45. While most required only minimal repair works, their recovery proved to be difficult. In order to move one Ferdinand, at least 5 heavy SDKFZ-9 half-tracks. That's the really, really big one. That's the one bigger than the prime mover with the 88. The SDKFZ-9s. At least 5 SDKFZ-9 half-tracks were needed. Being unprotected, they often fell victim to Soviet artillery fire trying to prevent recovery of these vehicles. Yeah, you could have a total game where the Germans are trying to recover stuff and the Soviets are trying to stop them. The 653rd Battalion would receive 2 new Berja Panthers based on the Panther chassis, but even these proved to be inadequate. During the night, Soviet demolition teams would blow up any abandoned Ferdinands they could get to. The 654th Battalion, while advancing towards objectives of 238.1 and 253.3 hills, also came across many minefields. Thanks to the remote control vehicles, clear roads were established with the loss of 10 of the Borgwargs. You silly Borgwargs, like something you name somebody. Still, this was far from enough, leading to the loss of a large number of the 654th Battalion vehicles being damaged. In a memorandum dated from the 17th of July 1943, Heinz Guderian described the 653rd Battalion's combat operation. The very heavy artillery barrage on the first day, 100 heavy and 172 light guns, 386 rocket launchers, and countless grenade launchers, smashed the attack by our infantry. The Ferdinands and Sturmpanzers were not able to push their attack into the depths of the enemy positions as the infantry had been halted. Thus, the tanks had to stop in the middle of the battlefield, attracting concentrated artillery fire. The enemy artillery always found time to regroup and to reinforce. The missing secondary armament on the tanks, basically no machine guns, negatively affected the tanks in combat. Subsequently, losses were high. On the first day of combat, the experience of the Ferdinand crews is partly shown in the report to General Major Hartmann, written by Unteroffizier Bohm, and dated from the 19th of July 1943. On the first day of combat, we successfully defeated bunkers, infantry, artillery, and anti-tank positions. Our guns were under artillery barrages for 3 hours and still maintained their ability to fire. Several enemy tanks were destroyed during the first night and others fled. Artillery and anti-tank gun crews fled before our guns before we fired upon them repeatedly. In addition to many batteries, anti-tank guns, and bunkers, our battalion destroyed 120 tanks during the first round of fighting. We suffered 60 casualties during the first few days, mostly from mines. We also had bad luck. It was at the rail embankment when a Panzer III on the other side received a direct hit and flew through the air, landing on the front part of the Ferdinand. Wrecking the tube, aiming device, and engine grating. We were more successful during the second operation, defending east of Orel. Only 2 total losses. 1 gun under Lieutenant Tarietta destroyed 22 tanks in 1 engagement. The total number of tanks destroyed is high, and the Ferdinand contributed substantially to the defense. Just as with the penetration, 1 gun commander destroyed 7 of 9 American-built tanks that approached him. I wonder what those were. It would have had to be like Lee's or Stewart's. That's it. There was no Shermans there yet. They were decisive here, and we cannot go against the mass of enemy tanks today without a weapon of this type. On the 8th of July, a group of 4 Ferdinands and 20 Tigers were advancing towards the Soviet line. On the other side, some 12 Su-152s, under the command of Major Sankovsky, were waiting in ambush. Once the German vehicles came to a distance of 500 meters, the Soviet vehicles opened fire. In the following engagement, the range was even more reduced, just 300 meters, where the Tigers suffered under the Su-152's heavy, large-caliber rounds. The Ferdinands proved more resilient, but after numerous hits, they too would fall victims to the 152mm guns at close range. At the end of this engagement, the Germans lost 4 or 3, depending on the source, Ferdinands and 8 Tigers, inflicting no losses on the Soviets. By the 11th of July, some 19 Ferdinands were reported as complete losses. Of these, 4 vehicles were burned out due to engine accidents. I wonder what that means. I'm going to put this cigarette out. Not there, you dumbass! You know? Years of scenarios right there. No kidding. The remaining were mostly destroyed by enemy artillery fire, which hit the less protected engine compartment top. In addition, some 40 vehicles were temporarily out of action and needed repairs. Half of those brought back to action by the 11th of July. The 14th of July, any further salvage operations were abandoned, and instead of the surviving vehicles of the 653rd Battalion were redirected to support the German attempts to relieve the 36th Panzer Grenadier Division, which was surrounded by nearly 400 tanks of the Soviet 3rd Tank Army. The Ferdinands, under the command of Lieutenant Heinrich Terriette, managed to drive them back, despite the small German armored numbers. Thanks to well-selected firing positions and the poor enemy reconnaissance, the Ferdinands took advantage of the 88mm guns' long-range firepower. During this engagement, Lieutenant Terriette himself claimed to have destroyed 22 Soviet tanks, for which he'd be awarded the Knight's Cross later on. During the same day, some 60 Ferdinands, 34 from the 653rd and 26 from the 654th, took defensive positions around the Sheliaburg-Sarevska area. There was a part here. Oh, here it is. There was an interesting and somewhat unusual, to say the least, situation where Ferdinand was lost being hit by a flying Panzer III. I wonder if this is the same situation. The strange situation occurred when a remote-controlled mine-clearing vehicle was hit by Soviet artillery fire, detonating its 350-kilogram explosive charge. The following explosion threw into the sky many parts, including the chassis of a nearby Panzer III command vehicle. A part of the chassis hit the engine compartment of a Ferdinand, setting it on fire. That's all it says. Okay. I thought it was more exciting than that. The destroyed Panzer III that hit and heavily damaged a nearby Ferdinand vehicle. Not much of a picture, but... Years of scenarios right there. Yep. All right. It's time to go into. Let's see what we have here. Good. All right. It's time to go into the next phase. What's this? Tube. Let me get my sheet styrene. And a card if I need a thinner. I'm gonna use a little boy's room. I'll be right back. All right. There's some details that I think are kind of important to have on here that aren't included in this. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna try something daring. I'm not getting a lot done, like, completion, but I'm really enjoying this. This is the part where I show you guys that I'm bad at something else. We're gonna try this. I got nothing to lose with what I'm about to do. Jeez. Lighten one up on the camera. What? I'm gonna turn this into 2. Now, somebody actually suggested that if you use a candle, and I haven't tried this yet, and go around the candle to warm this thing up, it works better. But I don't have a standing candle like that. That's actually looks pretty dangerous. But they did mention to use gravity just to let it droop. I'm like, so the last time I made sprue, it worked better than before. Man, this is really resistant to. Yeah, maybe this glue isn't. Maybe this one isn't the best. This one's also really old. Who knows how old this thing was. All right, let's. That took way too long for no results. Now we're going to switch to a different. Not all plastics are made the same. What do you got? We got some dragon plastic. This plastic is really good. Now, I think I got a little thinner than I wanted it to go. All right, we keep this up. We're not throwing any of this dragon plastic away. This stuff behaved like a dream. How I remember this stuff to work. It's kind of smaller. Oh, this one's not whole. It's funny. It's like a halvesy. I wonder if this will work. Don't catch fire, by God. This one's even thinner. That's not the direction we wanted to go in. I'm going to keep some of that stuff. All right, let's try it again. I know, I shouldn't have let it catch fire. See if I can find one that's... Let's take this off of it. I'm really enjoying this though. I mean, I feel like I'm challenging myself. Which, considering how my days at work have been, I need to just like sit around the campfire. I wanted to get a thicker one. Let's try this. I mean, if I make one successful, I got plenty of what I need it for. We'll leave those things on here. Those little tabs. I'm overcomplicating shit. Okay, I got some areas that are thicker. That are probably going to work for what I need to do. For what I would have liked to do. I don't need to do this. All right, this is no bueno. Let's see what we got here. Let's remove that. Let's remove this. Section in here that's thicker. That could be useful. And this may not work at all. This may not work at all, but we got the tools and we got the fine motor skills to do this. Make sure I didn't drop one on the ground, did I? I did. Okay. Thought there was more. All right. All right. So we got that handy. All right, let's get our sheet styrene. So this thing has these details on the corner up here. It has these corner details here that are on the corner that this does not have. Plus it has these plates almost attaching the front and bottom here that this one also doesn't have. And they're pretty prominent. They're pretty prominent to the point where I think they're important to have. I think they're important to have on the model, and it'd be relatively easy to put them on there. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reglue the superstructure section to it. And they're prevalent on all the Ferdinands. These sections up here. So I'm going to get a pencil. And these are all little right angles. Is there anything that's... Yeah, this is kind of a... This is the right thickness, right? And this will weld right onto this. So, right? Sheet styrene? Yeah, the weld cement should work on this. It doesn't work on this, but it works on this. So let me get a section that is about like that. I need a pencil to kind of visualize it. Okay, so I'm going to make all four corners. They're like this width. How far does it stay this width? Probably... to there. All right, now we need to make 4 of these. So let's make one of them successful. Let's split this in 4 of these little pieces. And they're all mirror images of each other, which means I can cut them all the same and just flip them in different directions and it should work. Now, I've never done anything like this before. And some of you guys are thinking, oh, you're probably never going to do it again. I said, well, I don't know. Depends if we're successful or not. This kind of shit's empowering. I find like it's very empowering. I feel like it needs to be a little, not as long. I think this is better. Now, I need a little notch, and it can be rounded a little bit. It could be. I don't think the clippers are gonna do that. What about where's the Tamiya cutter things? They were here just a moment ago. I put them around. There's a good place for them not to be. Let's try this on a spare. That's the way to do it. Using this thing. That's the way to do it. Okay. So we have this at that angle like that. And we're going to cut. You know, that's pretty close, and that's close enough for me. Plus, I'm adding more detail to this thing. There's one. There's another one. Except this one's already facing the wrong way. I did a minor. There. Now we got that one facing the right way. Yes, I should be able to flip them, and then it's, yeah, they all need to be made the same way. Oh, that's what it is. That needs to be facing that way. Got it. All right. And make the big plates easy. I've never done this kind of shit before. There's another one. So what the hell is the sprue for? I'm gonna make some bolts. Like this one has bolts in it. I'm gonna put bolts on it. Or attempt to. I think I'm gonna, I'm gonna attach these when it's not on the piece. Are we done smoothing this enough to where we want for the hatch at the top? I think so. Man, I can't wait to get some more Airfix Shermans and really fuck with them. And I don't mean fuck with them, like make them more accurate. Now we have a hole back here where the jack isn't going to be. We're not putting the jack back there. That's apparently a modification that they did to the in the Elephant version. Now we do have a But then there's some issues that I really can't deal with, and that's like, this is missing like a piece of cable. Well, this doesn't have it, so maybe not in this version. Okay, pistol port there. I know the pistol port looks a little different. That's all right. I'm all right with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we put another bolt there, how many are on the bottom? 1, 2, 3. There's 6 across the top and 5 across the bottom. And like the spacing on them is like all off. Well, I got one bolt right off the bat I can do. That's a legitimate bolt because I removed it. And then the other one we'll have to drill, and it will actually be behind the jack, so maybe not so noticeable. Maybe not so noticeable. So what I'm thinking is, you drill into this, you find a portion of it that's the right thickness. And you drill into it and then move it to the depth that you want and then put the glue in there. You should be good to go. So I'm going to take this, since this is bigger than the other ones. We're going to remove this. Let's see what's on. That's good. And this isn't a legitimate bolt. It's just going to be like a little rivet. The other ones are actually, it's falling apart. Yeah. So we should be able to take this. It's tapered a little bit. This is the one for the spur goo. And now we got a rivet there. And looks plenty freaking good. I'm telling you, that's why I'm doing this. I'm like, we're kicking this to a different level. And I'm enjoying doing this. And this is a lot easier to deal with than that freaking skiff models, which we're going to kick those things ass when we get to it. But we're going to get better at this fine detail stuff. Now, let's find out if this is even salvageable, this bolt that I removed. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of glue there, not too much because you just end up melting this thing into nothing. And if this doesn't work, then we'll do like we just did with that one below it. For my first time ever doing this. But that's what I'm really enjoying about model. I'm like, I got a problem that I encounter. Like, how am I going to solve this? And, I don't have to solve it, right? I could walk away from it. But I'm like, all right, I want to solve this. How can we do that? How can we do that? And what glue you're working with makes a big difference. Working with this is just pleasurable. It's really pleasurable working with that. It's calm. There's no hurry. Actually, I'm surprised. I'm surprised I was able to break this apart. Yeah, then a plate goes here. Now this plate, it's flat here, and then this goes inside. So I think with this being as soft as it is, I should be able to put a little crimp in there and it fit on there just fine. I should have bought even thinner styrene. I mean, I could use this. I could use this card, which is a little thinner, but you got to use super glue with this. The melty stuff doesn't work with that. I don't know whether it's the coating or something like that, but Tank Fest live on YouTube. Is it? Why would they do it in the summertime? It's hot as shit. Well, we can't leave it. We can't leave. We can't leave all these wonderful people hanging. And I mean, if I can do this, you guys can do this. I could have also removed some bolts back here. Nobody would have noticed. And then moved it up here. I think this turned a lot better. This turned out a lot better than I could have possibly imagined. All right, which one of these two are we going to use? This one's flatter. I didn't fully remove the... I get on Tank Fest and I'm out there commenting live with other people that don't know anything about tanks. Like, there's stuff I don't fucking know, and I'll admit, hey, I don't fucking know this, but other people in live videos, I always got, oh man, I gotta feel relevant. I gotta comment on everything, even though I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You know the kind. See, right now, I'd get another one of these and convert it into a Ferdinand. This is what I need to really improve my skills on, is using green stuff. Green stuff, man, this stuff is super powerful. Like, I'm not interested in getting into 3D printing. That's just too many things. That's too many computer oriented things. Like, all kinds of stuff can go wrong for me. I get frustrated. We're not going to mass produce stuff. I don't do this for a living. Okay, yeah, this is a much better hatch. Much crisper copy. Why am I getting word of the days? Fuck you. And then I can't remove this. Like, why can't I see this? I see. I never asked for that. That's what happened with my old email account. They just sent me so much shit that I just don't even check it anymore. You send me an email to my email account that starts with an S, I probably won't get it for 6 months. Didn't realize that Chafee 75 was intended for the B-25 Mitchell. Huh. Interesting. I don't have one of those. It's not like I've avoided it. I don't have a. Is it Chaffee or Chafee? How many F's? It's probably Chafee. I actually don't know. A B-25 is actually a bomber that's pretty, I think, pretty ugly. And I'm not sure why I think that. I think it's because of the. It's ugly. A B-26 actually looks really good. But a B-25, not a fan. I had a model of one. Never liked it. It's ugly the same way a Lee is ugly. We got some other parts on here we never put on here. Let's go ahead and put this hatch. We'll use the super glue that we can move around a little bit. See, it needs to be about there. Now that I notice that, I don't know if it's supposed to have that thing on here. But at some point, I've got to just like say, okay, that's good enough. Ultimately, I care about this more than you guys, so I guess if I'm happy with it. All right, let's look at. Let's look at the instructions. Confirmed Toyota and Nissan negotiate industry shaking super alliance. Well, hopefully it'll make the quality of Nissan vehicles better. I was a huge Nissan fan, and then their QC got shitty. Of course, like I care because I won't be buying another car anytime soon, considering this shitty state of vehicles and how much they cost now. Yeah, it's asking me to put them on this little pedestal. I'll do that. I'll do that because I'm not going to remove that. But we'll move the jack up here. Matter of fact, we'll go ahead and do the jack first. Man, you could hear a freaking lawnmower like miles away. I would like to finish this because this is like literally the thing I'm most likely to paint first. All right, what do we got here? Ben, I don't know if you're on or not. I need to find out what the girls are doing today before I commit to doing anything. There's even a chance that they might even go out of town for a couple days. I don't know that yet. That would be ideal. Not because I don't want them here, but Which way do I want to put the crank handle on? Ferdinand tank destroyer front plate. Okay, that's an elephant. This is the one that's in Kubinka. And there's all kinds of different variations for them. You're still here. I am still here on your mobile connection. Because Ulfa's a raider. He's got places to go. He's got to raid things. The pillager. All right, let's see. I don't think I'm going to do this with every model, but ones that we know that are like just like lackluster. Oh, I see what they want you to do here. They don't want you to do it like that. They want you to do it like this. Take the front of this, because the front of this is flat, and then put this flat thing. Hold on, we could do better than that. There we go. This flat thing, like so. That's much better. Nice. I guess I probably need to put these fenders in place. And it probably should line up with that bracket. That would make sense. That makes sense to me. That would make sense to me. The roving is fun. I really need to. I feel like I need to cut down on my distractions. It's really kind of like affecting my sanity. I hate to sound like a crazy person, but I'm going a. Oh, it's got one of them little blocks there. Well, I bet I could salvage one of those from something else. But I'm getting distracted by a lot of stuff. So, like going in, I see these people that go to like the grocery store. Where did I go the other day by myself? Hobby Lobby or something like that. And these people running around with like listening to something different. And I'm like, I don't do that, and I need less of that instead of more. So frequently, I'll find myself like driving around listening to the book on Audible and have to turn the book on Audible off because there's just too many distractions. I want like less distractions, not more. You know, like I mentioned the TV thing. I wish I could have the TV on and watch whatever while I'm doing this. I can't. It drives me a bit cuckoo. And I wish I was better at it, but like I was never able to like study or read or do schoolwork with any kind of other periphery going on. And I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. Are both of these the same? They are. Okay. Well, then it doesn't really matter which one I put in front of the other one, does it? And I have to put them at a queer ass angle because they don't go straight across. They come in at like 45. Queer ass angle, whatever the hell that is. Let's make sure it fits okay before we have a different issue. Looks all right. Yeah, I wish I could like go for a walk and like listen to a podcast, but I just can't do all that kind of stuff. And next thing you know, you're like all hunched over, and I get hunched over enough as it is. Bent and hunched over. I'm gonna put it facing out this way because it's got more detail to look at. Can't really tell what it's supposed to be on the other one. I bet I do have a ubiquitous German block to put on it. Well, maybe we should put this on first. Except this is weird. This wants me to like put it laying up or something. And I'm just not going to do that. I like the way it is here. actually going to go ahead and remove that. Remove that. And I bet I have a hammer that goes on there. So I had a pretty good run here of faffing about, huh? Faffing about, faffing about. You feel it? Work, work me almost signs off as bend over. Yeah. Red Rover, bend over. What's that saying I like to say? If I'm going to get raped, at least let me pick the hole. All right, I believe the faffing about bits would probably be in here. And I'm just going to take a quick look, see if I have an extra ubiquitous box. I bet I do. But they do come with every kit, and every model pretty much needs to use them, so. We got some extra stuff in there. That's some fun shit there. I may not have one. We also need to look for the what do you call that thing? Yeah, a hammer. I mean, you don't have to find one, but it'd be a nice little add-on there. Lots of jacks. Panther's got one, right? Yeah, there it is on the back. And the Tigers have one. I don't actually see one on the Tigers. What's this? Found one. I knew you'd find one. I thought I'd find one. Got another one too. I mean, you know, one's plenty. I see shovels. I don't see mallet. Let's not take that away. German crewman. Plastic Soldier Company wouldn't have any. They'd be molded onto the thing. And that's what mostly all this stuff is for the Germans, unless they're in that little container I just got them. So I don't think I have one. Again, not super necessary. This would be a nice touch to, since we're making a custom one anyways. are extra. These are extra parts I got from recently. This guy painted over it, so which means I probably can't use the weld cement. One of them people that paint things on the sprue kind of thing. Faff better than word. Yep. Faff in a boot. Faff in a boot. All right. Oh, they do have it. It's right here. Here's that little mallet for them to beat on. Okay, well, I have one to put on there. And I got to do these plates here on the side. Let's not forget to do that. All right. This whole pencil thing worked well. That's a pretty thick plate. You know, the thing is, I still wouldn't have that damn Sherman from Dragon finished. And this is a hell of a lot more empowering than just following directions. That's pretty good. All right, so we need to... And I'm not the kind of person that would think that I would be doing this stuff. But some of these materials are a lot of fun to work with. They behave really, really well. Now, one side's flat, the other side is tapered slightly. And the tapered slightly needs to match this. So I'm going to try, and it's about the halfway point. So something like that. Now let's see how this matches up with being up against this. Actually matches up pretty well. About the other side. This one not so much. Why is that? Now I'm going to take this at the split point. I'm going to crimp this in just a little bit. Let's see Mitch do this shit. What? You're faffing about with DBA. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, we're going to put bolts in there. Yep. Shit, I'm probably better off going ahead and doing those while this thing is not installed. Now, let's look at rule drawings. This thing might be wrong. Okay, I'm going to put two bolts there. I'm going to put two bolts there. This is good freaking practice for the future. If I could just see, that's like my biggest challenge. I could see, but as soon as I leave the area, And what I really like about this, I'm using stuff I already have. That's the biggest thing. You're not spending hours looking for ordering something specific, ordering a $10 item that's $15 in shipping, putting this on hold for 2 weeks, whatever, till it comes in. Mira eso. Who knows? This might be my favorite thing to build. And I don't want this to be my favorite thing I built because it's like, oh, so you like the big vehicles, huh? No, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with that. Putting holes in it. That's why I bought this thing. I only spent $3.99. I knew I was going to trash it. Well, we're not going to get paint on it. That'd be uncivilized. Now I think because I have to crimp this thing, I need to put this on first. No, I don't want to put the little bolts on here and then try to crimp it, and then we got a different issue. Now, I'm not really liking the fact that this isn't lined up great. Fit and finish on Eschi has never been one of their strong suits. We need more. We need more crimping than that. Crimping and pimping. And I snapped it. Okay, well, we can fix that. We can fix that. Because we have this miracle glue. Yep, we can fix that. All right, so this one's going to go in now. Yeah, as I weaken that just enough. Well, one thing's for sure, I'm putting a lot more value into looking at books, individual details on vehicles. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Now, we're going to need. Let's see if this is too small. It might be too small. Nope. I'm going to have to cut these longer. And we need to see where the F they go. I should be able to cut it with this. This is the one I just glued in. Let's do the other side first then. Wish this was a little thicker. I looked for rod at the store actually, and they didn't have any. Not this small. Oh, we already have one in one of those. Okay, that worked. Actually, I didn't have one in there. Just looked like it. I don't mind this. I don't mind the tweezer work. You know, I'm using glue that works. Let's see what we got going on here. Now the front plate of this is not accurate at all, but well, it's just one of those things. Oh, we need a mallet. I'm gonna use little boy's room. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to stop the feed. I'm going to go spray these things. And do a download while I'm doing that. And Ben, I'll give you a holler a little later. And I don't know what time yet, but it'll be before noon here. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you guys in the next one. And yeah, we're gonna do this in black, and might as well do the panther and the tiger too. I'm gonna wait on the dragon. I got a dragon tiger over here. We'll wait on the dragon tiger. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.